Greetings, welcome back to PinkOddBird. Today I'm going to be going through making a very simple and basic journal with you. It's going to be single signature, so that just means like one stack of papers folded over to make one cohesive journal. And I'm going to try and give you the ingredients, the tools that you're going to need for each step. So let's go ahead and get started. All right, so the first thing that you're going to have to do is decide on papers. If you're going to have a specific theme, then obviously you want to center your theme around, center your paper around your themes. And if you don't have a theme, then you're just going to have a little collection of papers that you want to use for your journal. In this step, what you'll also need is some kind of a paper trimmer. I'm going to be using my Precision paper trimmer. But even down to like the smaller, like singular ones, that will work just fine. You'll just be able to trim less papers at a time. So I'm going to show you how I'm going to organize my papers. Obviously, as you can see, I'm going to be doing a garden theme for my journal here, and you don't have to use any digitals, but I have chosen to use these garden digitals here. It never fails. It can be drop a pen quiet, and then the moment you start recording, let the noise rip. Like I said, you don't have to use any kind of digitals. I'm just using some of these old garden digitals that I already had in my stash. In addition to that, I'm going to be using some paper that I have coffee stained here. You can dye or stain your papers any way that you wish to. I have a video. I'll try and link that up in the top with the letter I so you can see different ideas on how to get your papers kind of interesting, cool, designed, and distressed. Now it's the ice cream. Okay, so, and then I've just chosen some other little random papers out of my stash, some vintage sketch paper, tracing paper, and then a couple pieces of scrapbooking paper. And I'm making 2 journals, so it might seem like I have a lot of paper, but I don't. I'll be separating these out so that I have enough for the 2 journals. All right, so to get started, that's what I'm going to do is make myself a pile of papers for each journal, and we'll go from there. Okay, there's one more tool I forgot you may or may not need, but I'm also using my scoreboard, and this is just to help me when I'm folding the heavier papers like the scrapbook paper, and I want them to be folded like crisply and neatly. Like I said, it's not required. You could also buy paper trimmers that have a scoreboard built into them, so that's just another tool that you will probably need, maybe, question mark. But what I went ahead and did was I put together the signature. So this is called the signature because it's the group of papers that we have folded up for this journal. So I went ahead and I put this one together, and I'm going to show you how to do that with the other stack of papers. So I have all my papers here that I want to use. The first thing that I'm going to start out by doing is cutting down my digitals. The only thing that you really need to pay attention to here as far as like what I'm doing is measurements, and the measurements are going to depend really on how big you want your journal. My papers in their original state are 8.5 by 11, so just standard size. And what I'm doing, I'm making traveler's notebooks, and so these measure 8.25 by 4.25. And to get that, you cut your 8.5 inch papers down to 8.25, and then you cut them lengthwise to 9 inches. Okay. So I'm doing that first. And obviously, I know that not a lot of this is anything. It's nothing brand new. It's nothing that I haven't already done on my page a million times. But I think the point is we all like to sit and watch each other hang out and craft together. You can always learn something new, and then there's always new beginners who are looking for different ways to do something because everybody learns differently, right? So it's nice to be able to soak up what other people are doing, especially when you're in the beginning phases. Okay. So I'm going to set my ephemera pieces aside so I don't accidentally cut those. Okay, so I have one more page here. And we'll get back to the ephemera. Like I said, these are going to be pretty basic for what I usually do, but this is just really geared towards beginners more so, or someone who wants to make something really easy and doesn't know where to begin. Okay, so I have all those cut down, and the next thing is, let me make sure I have all my ephemera pieces here. I'm going to set them to the side. The next thing I'm going to do is dig into my other papers that I have picked out. So I'm going to do, I like to pick different sizes, different paper weights, different textures, just so that there's a good variety of, you know, interest. So I'm going to cut these down to 8 1/4 because that's the height of my journal. All right, this one doesn't need to be cut because it'll fit. Let's cut this page down to 8 1/4 also. Or if you're doing an 8 1/2 by 5 1/2, you can just leave it as is. And then the last piece, well, actually I think for my signature that I already put together, I had 2 pieces of coffee stain paper, I think just 2. So I'm gonna go ahead and cut those down to 8 1/4 by 9, because that's going to give me 8 1/4 by 4 1/4 when I fold them in half. Setting these 2 pieces aside because I will also be using those. And then for my scrapbook papers, I just cut these however I feel like it. So in this case, I'm just going to cut off the top strip that has that hole in it there. And then let's see, I'm going to do this one here as like a pocket page, and you'll see what I mean by that. So I'm going to cut this one down to 9 inches. 9 inches. Saving these pieces as well. And setting this aside just like that. And then these 2 here, I'm going to cut them both down to 8 1/4 height. And set those aside, and then set aside these pieces as well. So we don't need this for another few minutes, but I'm going to take my scoreboard now. And there's no right or wrong to this. You really can just do whatever you want to do. Like I said, it's however you feel you want your pages to be. But I got it on my 9-inch side here. So I'm going to score it at, oh, I think I was supposed to cut it to, well, I'm going to score it at 4 1/2. I'm going to have to end up cutting that a little bit shorter because it's going to be 4 1/2 instead of 4 1/4, but that's okay. And then I'm going to do this piece here at 8 1/4. And this is going to give this a pocket page now. So I just fold this piece up like so, and then I'm going to fold it in half where I scored it. See how much easier it is when you have the score tool. And so I have it like that. And I think this might need to be cut down a bit. Yeah, so I have it at 4 1/2, and I'm just going to cut that down to 4 1/4. Set it aside. And then for this one here, I'm just going to score one at 4 inches, just like that. And I'm going to fold it where my score line is. You can see it there. So like so, 4 1/4, 4 inches, sorry. And then I will score the opposite side at 4 inches also. And I'm scoring it at this measurement because I don't want my flap, because that's what we're creating. Here comes the motorcycler again. It's somebody riding a little moped around here. So that's what they're doing. So anyway, I scored the other side at 4 inches, and then I just cut a little bit off this flap so that it could have enough space to fold here comfortably. All right, so that's that one. And then for this last piece here, I'm going to score, this is a 12-inch piece. I'm going to score it at 6 inches, which is right in half. Fold it over at the score line. Fold it at the score line. Okay. Fold it at the score line, and then I want to give myself a 4-inch and flip it over and do 4 inches. All right, fold those in because I'm going to use those as like pocket flaps. I might cut this piece down a bit so that it's got space for something to go in. All right, and I think we did all of our pages there. So let's go ahead and start folding all of these, folding all these up. I'm going to set those aside for now, and this one. And then you just want to make sure before you start folding them, you're folding them on the right, you're folding them in the right area, because otherwise you're going to be folding them in the wrong shape, and then you're going to be upset. All right, so folding all my pages in half here, and I'm just going to set them aside. After we get them all folded up, it will just be a matter of assembling the signature however we want it to go. Again, I'm just roughly folding this one. I'm not measuring it. If I do end up cutting the flap off, c'est la vie. It's not going to be the end of the world. My motto has always been, you know, nothing is a mistake. Everything will be exactly as it was supposed to be. And I think if you have that mentality when you're crafting, it's just going to make it easier and more fun for you, you know, to not have to be like, oh no, I made a mistake. It'll be okay. You'll be all right. You will be all right. Okay. So let's get this one folded. And I'm folding them like this because it's giving you extra flaps, because this is a narrow journal. So having it fold like this in the page will give you more space. All right, and now I'm down to the digitals, and I'm just going to fold these. Obviously, as you can see, they're printed on both sides. I'm not being particular. I'm just kind of taking them one by one and just folding them up, and whatever we get is what we get. I think that's also a fun way to craft, is not trying to be too persnickety about what you're doing, unless you have like a real like theme and real like storyline or whatever that you're trying to follow. Just roll with it. Like, I think a lot of people get hung up on, oh no, you know, I'm doing this wrong, or this isn't gonna look right, or whatever, you know. That's not true. It's just not true. Okay, let's do this one like this. Okay, so now I have all my pages folded down, and there's a big mix of papers, right? Whatever you've chosen. You can use notebook paper, regular paper, art paper, sketch paper, whatever you want to use. I'm gonna move this aside for a second. And now I'm just going to, I don't know, pick and start putting the signatures together. I'll start with this one here. And then let's take one of our digital papers here. Doesn't really matter, but I'll take this one here. And then I'm going to take one of my coffee papers, and then you just keep filling it up until your heart's content. Let's see. Let's take this one here, seed, and let's grab one of these white pages here, like that. And I will take, do I want that one there? No. I'll take this one, and I'll put this here. And then maybe we'll do this one. Is that going to be okay? Yeah, because this is going to be a pocket, so that'll be folded down, so that'll be fine. Do I want that one? No, I'm going to put one of these here first, and then I'll put this one in. And what else do I have? Let's take this one here. I'm going to put the purple in. We'll just put it in there. And I will put, let's put this World's Fair page. Oh no, I'm going to save this one. Let's put this one. Yeah, that'll work. And let's do beige, a white, off-white. And we'll put this one, and this one. Okay, so that's kind of what we have. Next, I'm going to take these pieces that we reserved off to the side and just fold them. I don't really like to waste, and it took me time to copy stain these pages, and I don't want to waste them. So now I'm just going to find somewhere in the book to pop these in. Maybe one would look cute here. Maybe. And let's put another one. Let's put another one. Let's do one here. I'm going to take one of these pieces here of the longer scrapbook paper and fold it in half. And then I'm just going to fold it to make little pockets, like so. And then I'll find somewhere to put that in here as well. Let's see. Thinking up here will be good. Okay. Now, this is your signature. I'm going to save these two pieces just like I have on the other journal that I'm working on. So I'm saving those two for something else. Next, I'm going to, you see how these pages are all kind of sticking out? You can leave it that way if you want to. Nothing's wrong with it. But I'm going to trim mine down to be a little bit more even and in line with each other. So I'm just going to take a few pages at a time and just trim them down a little bit until they look like how I want them to look. Let's get these. Okay, let's see. Boom. Perfect. Okay, for the next phase here, I believe the tools that you're going to need are a bone folder of some sort, and this is going to help you really get those pages burnished, and then some glue. And you're definitely going to need glue if you're not going to be using a sewing machine. I will be using a sewing machine, so I'm not going to be gluing everything in my signature. But if you're not going to be sewing, I'll show you where you could put glue. You don't have to, but you could. All right. So I'm going to start by taking, let me see. I'm going to actually use these little offcuts here. And I'm just going to start making some pockets like here and there. So once again, this is nothing that has to be perfect, precise, whatever. We're just going to make some pockets. And this is how I'm doing it. So I'm going to cut this one down just a little bit more. And then if you don't have a corner chomper, which is the tool you could use to round your corners, if you want to have a rounded corner, all you can do is just simply round the corner. And just like that, you have a rounded corner. Super, super easy. Okay. So if you're not going to use a sewing machine, you definitely want to make sure you glue this down like 100%. Oh, I haven't used my glue in a while. Hold on. Okay, like I was saying, if you're not going to use a sewing machine, then you want to make sure that you're going to glue these down like 100%. But since I'm going to be stitching on mine, I'm just going to glue them so that they're held in place. So I'm adding a little bit of glue along the perimeter of that pocket that we just made. And I'll just take this off so I can do this where it's flat. And then just line it up with the paper and stick it down. All right, this is just going to give you some little extra pocket storage. All right, and then we can do the same thing on the back side if we want to. We'll just cut a little rounded corner. I'm left-handed, so it's different for me. Okay, just like that. Super cute. And we will make, so this is how the pocket's going to be, so I want to glue here and here. Here and here. All right. So we've got a couple of pockets there. Very good. And we have no waste with that particular piece of scrapbook paper. So perfect. So we got some pockets in. And let's see, what else do I have? I have this piece here. So we can do, I don't know, let's see what we can do. Let me find a page where we can do something. Maybe here. So you got a page that has a lot of repetitive kind of words on it. So it might be a good spot to maybe add a pocket. Maybe we can do a belly band or like a shallow pocket maybe. Something like that. And kind of like off the side pocket. So it'll be like a tuck spot maybe more so. We could also use this side. I don't know. I feel like I want to put the red side because it's more like market-ish, if that makes sense. So I'm going to take this little piece here and I want to round this corner also. So I'm just going to use my scissors. I have the corner chomper, but I'm trying to do this in a way for people who might be beginners and may not have all of the supplies at the ready. And so that you can see you're able to do this with, you know, as little supplies as you need. Oh, I almost forgot to say, hold on. I almost forgot to say, let's put this one down. If you are not going to be using your sewing machine, then you want to maybe glue your pockets here down also. So you see how you have that pocket, you'll want to add some glue there so that turns into an actual pocket. And then same thing here. You can put some glue here and here, and then now you have a little side pocket. Okay, so anywhere that you potentially might want to be a pocket, just glue it down. And glue it well, because you don't want it to come undone. Unless you do want it to come undone, then that's your prerogative. Okay, so let's see. I've got a little bit more paper to use here. So, what do we have here? Okay, this will be a good spot for something. Maybe we can do another pocket maybe, or a belly band even we can do, which would be cute. I'm going to cut this down a little, just slightly shorter than the width of the page, like that. And I'm going to glue this down so we have a little belly band there now. And to do that, we're just going to add glue to the edges of each side of that band. Now, of course, if you're if you've already got all the craft supplies that you could ever want, you can also add some decorative edge punches to this. You can also distress it if you want to. I'm not going to be distressing in this journal. Like I said, I just want it to be easy peasy, lemony squeezy-oni. Okay. All right, so that's that. And then I have one last piece here. Let's see where we can put this. I do want the colors to be somewhat around an area where they kind of make sense. Okay, that's where we put our belly band. Oh, and like I was saying about the burnishing, if you're only gluing, take your bone folder and burnish where you're gluing, burnish it down, okay? Let's see. And if you don't find a spot, that's okay too. Maybe we can put something here. Would be cute, I think. Maybe we could do a little side pocket here. So what I'm going to do is cut this piece into a diagonal, and I'm just going to put it, well, let me show you. Putting it in my paper trimmer with the point to the point, like that, and then I'm just going to slice, okay? And then we've got, okay, so I need to make it a little bit more, so I'm going to cut it down because it's too wide right now, so I need to make it a little bit more narrow. Luckily, this paper has kind of like a built-in grid, so that makes it really easy. Okay, so now we have a little pocket there. Perfect. So I'm going to glue that down. Like so. Line it up where I want it. Place it down. And burnish. And burnish. Okay, and then I have one more little triangle left. So I could pop this in here somewhere. Let's see. Maybe we can do one here. 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 Okay, I'm going to make this one a little bit more narrow also. I'm not measuring it. I don't really care. I just want it to fit nicely on the page. And now it does. So let's glue. And if you don't care to have pockets and such in your journal, you can absolutely skip this part. It's not a necessity. It's just the way I do it. Well, one of the ways I do it, I should say. Okay. Now, not only do we have our signature done, we have this much scraps left over. Obviously, I have these two because I have to add them to the other journal, but there are 0 scraps left for what we've done. So all the papers that we pulled out are in this completely, and there's 0 scraps. Okay, that's gonna really like not make you want to pull your hair out at the end when you have 50 zillion scraps. Okay, so I'm gonna repeat this on my other signature, and we'll be back with the next step. What I've gone ahead and done is I got the pieces that I wanted to have stitched sewn down. So we're ready to move on to the next phase. So in line with keeping these journals really easy and simple, instead of doing fabric covers, I'm just going to let these be paper covers. And I have chosen, come on. So I'm going to, actually I'm going to put this one on top. And, okay, I'm going to actually cut these separately. So I'm going to start with this one. And this one should be pretty much the length of the journal, which should be 9 inches flat. Ooh, it's not. Why is it not? Oh wait, sorry, it should be 8.5. Sorry, I'm not mathy. Don't listen to me. That's why I keep doing everything at 9 inches. And it's 4.5 inches. Please ignore me. Okay. By 8.25. There we go. So we've got that piece. And then we also have this piece here, which I'm going to cut down to 8.25 tall. 8.25. 8.25. I wonder if I should, to make sure they're the same height, I will cut it to match this one. Like so. And then for my other piece, I think I'm going to cut this and let's just do it like that. All right, so we've got the cover cut down. I'm going to take my scoreboard. Take the scoreboard. This one is going to be the outside cover. So I'm going to leave this one faced up. Score it at 4.25. Jeez, 4.25. And then this one I'll put face down and score it at 4 1/4. All right, next we are going to attach these so that they stay together. I'm going to make sure it's even Steven. It's a little bit shorter, I think. Let me see. I mean, there's nothing I could do here because I wanted to use the paper covers. Yeah, it's a little bit shorter. I mean, I guess I could cut these down further, or I can just leave it. Let me see. Some of these I can probably cut down a bit. I'm going to trim them down to, oh, actually why are they, oh, that's why they're over 4 1/4, because I was cutting them at 4 1/2. Duh. Sorry if you're following along. Sorry. Hopefully I will remember to put a note about that so that you don't make my mistakes. Cut at 4 1/4, not 4 1/2, please. Unless that's what you're doing. Unless you're doing a 4 1/2 journal. Sorry. I've only been making journals for I don't know how many years. Okay. There we go. That's more like it. Okay, I'm going to cut this one down a little bit here. Oh my gosh, I can't believe myself cutting all of these at the wrong freaking measurement. I'm going to have to put a note at the beginning so that you guys don't listen to me if you're trying to do this size. All right. Got a little bit here to do. Oh yeah, this is way better. Night and day. There we go. All right, now that's better, okay? Now let's work on this cover. So once again, for me, I will be stitching on my cover, but for the placeholder, what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a little bit of glue stick here and first attach that piece. Okay. Burnish, burnish, burnish. And then I am going to use my a little bit stronger glue. Oh my gosh. For the crease. And if you're not going to be stitching, you want to make sure you glue this to the edges very well. Use your good Aleene's glue or whatever glue you wish and glue it to the edge. All right? All the way around the perimeter. And burnish. All right? So there we go. Got a nice cover. All right. And I'm going to give it a good burnishing, make it nice and flat. And now for me, I'm going to take mine over to the machine and give it a stitch around, and we'll move to the next step. Okay, for the next phase, what you're going to need is a threading needle. So you want to get one that has a pretty good size to it. I don't remember the gauge that is, if that's the word. You're gonna need a clip to hold your signatures in place. Some kind of thread. I'm using waxed thread and all. And your cover, and of course your signature. So we're going to get this all stitched together so it becomes a journal. So like I said, super quick and easy journal, and mostly real time. The only thing I've really done off camera is the stitching. So, okay, so, oh, also, I'm just taking one of my offcut scraps here, and I cut it down to the same height as my journal, which in my case it's 8 1/4. So whatever height your journal is, that's what you want to do, is cut it to the height of your journal, and at least make it at least an inch or 1.5 inches wide. And then we're going to basically make like a little template. So I'm going to fold it in half the long way and then half the short way. And I'm going to put a dot in the center. I'm going to use my ruler, which I guess is technically another thing that you're going to need. And I am going to do a 5 pamphlet stitch. So I'm going to put this at about 1 inch or so here. And same thing here. here. So that's 3. And then I'm just going to put the ruler next to that last dot. And same thing over here. Okay, and then I'm going to mark which way is the top. And there's our template. All right, next you want to make sure, do a quick flip through to make sure that all of your pages are in exactly the right spot that you want them to be in. Because once you do this part, there's no going back unless you want to undo what you have done. Okay, I'm gonna put that one there. All right, we're looking good. Looking good, looking good. All right, and then I'm going to make sure that they're all even, lined up at the top and the bottom. Put my clip here to hold it all in place. Okay, next, put the template into the center and make sure that is also lined up with the top and the bottom. Okay. I'm going to take my awl and poke the holes in each of these little dots that we have lined up on the template. Okay. So boom, 1. I'm going to take my waxed thread and do about 3 times the height of my journal. And get that thread ready. I like to do it so that way when I'm done poking the holes, all I do is pick up the thread and it's ready to start stitching. Okay. If you're doing this, if you're new to this, make sure that you're being very careful on this part because an awl is very sharp. You can do this like, I don't know, into another book. There's many ways that you can do it. I've been doing this for a long time, but just use caution, watch your fingers, and don't hurt yourself. Okay, so there's the 5. I'm gonna set this aside because I'll use it for my other journal also. And here we go. I'm going to start with the center and go through and leave about across the page is pretty good. And then I'm gonna go up to the hole right above that and through, and then out through the hole right above that, so the very top hole. Okay, and then back in through the hole right below that. And at this point I want to make sure that everything is kind of tight. And then going to do the same thing. So in through the second to last hole, back through the very bottom hole, again, make sure everything is taut. Back up through the second to last hole. And then the final hole is going to be right through the center. Okay? Put your threads on either side to make sure that they are secure. Pull it tight. You do not want your signatures to be loose. If you do want your signatures to be loose, don't pull it tight. All right, so one way, and then do, so if you do left over right, then do right over left, okay? I'm gonna leave this one kind of long. Someone, whoever gets this, can add something to it. I'm gonna trim that top one down. All right. And flip through the pages just to make sure everything is in there good, and you can get the pages kind of like starting to adjust to the way that they're going to be. You can do this a few pages at a time. Super simple. Of course, I got to add my stamp in here. Ooh, I haven't said that for a long time, it feels like. All right. And at this point, you could be done. You could really be done right here. You basically have made yourself a journal. A really nice, eclectic, interesting journal with pockets, different kinds of papers. You can write in different directions. Really, really fun. In my case, I do have a little bit of ephemera, which I will add to the journal later. But basically, I have like some little cards, some tags, some recipe cards, and other little pieces of ephemera. And I'll just kind of scatter those. I'll cut them out and scatter them throughout the journal. And then that's pretty much going to be it for this one. So I probably will come back maybe once I have them all done and do a final flip through. But for the intents and purposes of this video was to show you how to make a very simple single signature, in this case traveler's notebook, but you could use the same method for really any size that you're doing, of a single signature journal. Super easy peasy. So I hope that you guys have enjoyed this video. I will be back again sometime soon, I guess maybe with the flip through of these. I'm going to get them all finished up and have the flip through of those so you guys can see the finished and just kind of like how they look. Also, if you enjoyed this video, if you liked my process, if you found something new or useful in here and you plan to use it, feel free to give me a tag. You can use the @ symbol to tag me in your videos. It doesn't hurt you. It doesn't hurt me. It just helps everyone. So share the love. And I think that is going to wrap it up for me for now. Be sure to stay tuned because you never know what direction this odd flock of ours is heading into. And until next time, toodaloo.